Stop right there. Don't click away. Look at your bug-out bag right now. Is it packed with shiny, tactical garbage that's going to get you killed faster than the actual apocalypse? Probably. Welcome to the Wasteland Reality Check. We love DIY, hacks, and dark science here, but today we're doing an intervention. You're buying myths sold by marketing guys who've never slept outside. Mistake number 1 is the biggest offender. It's the reason many of you will die holding a broken piece of metal. I'm talking about that giant, saw-backed survival knife you bought online. It looks cool. It looks like you could fight a bear with it. But in post-apocalyptic science, looking cool usually translates to catastrophic material failure when you need it most. The issue is physics and metallurgy. These cheap behemoths are usually made of mystery stainless steel. It's brittle. It doesn't bend. It snaps like a frozen chocolate bar under stress. Let's talk about the tang. That's the metal part that goes into the handle. On a real tool, it's a full tang, one solid piece. On your Rambo toy, it's usually a rat tail. A rat tail tang is a thin metal stick glued inside a cheap plastic handle. The first time you try to baton wood for a fire, that handle is going to explode in your hand. Good luck out there. And those sawbacks on the spine? Totally useless. They don't saw wood, they just get stuck in things. They are great for one thing though, shredding your own clothes and gear by accident. In a real survival scenario, you aren't knife-fighting zombies. You are processing firewood, skinning small game, or carving traps. You need precision, not a cumbersome metal spatula. If your knife has a hollow handle with a tiny compass and some matches inside, throw it away immediately. That hollow space is a structural weak point waiting to snap off at the hilt. A giant knife is also heavy. Ounces equal pounds, and pounds equal pain when you're ruck marching away from a fallout zone. Why carry 2 pounds of useless steel when 4 ounces will do? The post-apocalyptic world isn't a movie. It's dirty, boring work. You need a tool you can sharpen easily on a smooth rock, not some super-hardened chromium alloy that requires diamond paste. Dark humor time. The guy with the biggest knife is usually the first one looted because he looked like a threat but didn't know how to actually build a shelter. Don't be a loot drop. So what's the science-backed alternative? Get a boring, ugly carbon steel knife with a full tang. Something Swedish or a simple bushcraft blade. It won't impress anyone, but it works. Carbon steel rusts. Yes, that's called patina. It shows you actually use your tools. Learn to oil it. If you can't maintain a simple blade, you aren't going to survive anyway. If you absolutely feel the need to pry open doors or crate lids, don't use your knife. That's how you break the tip. Pair your small knife with a small pry bar or a solid screwdriver. The science of survival is about energy conservation. A big knife wastes energy to swing and carry. A small, sharp knife handles 95% of tasks with minimal caloric expenditure. Think about it. The native peoples who survived in the wilderness for millennia didn't carry swords. They carried small blades and used their brains to craft what they needed from the environment. When society collapses, the most valuable tools will be the ones that are durable, repairable, and unobtrusive. The giant tactical blade fails all 3 of those criteria miserably. Stop fantasizing about fighting off raiders hand-to-hand. If you are that close to the enemy, you've already made 5 other critical tactical errors. Your gear should prevent that scenario. The psychology of gear is vital. Big shiny things give you a false sense of security. You take risks you shouldn't because you think your gear makes you invincible. It does not. So take that $50 zombie slayer blade and hang it on your wall as a decoration. That is the only place it belongs. Keep it away from your actual go bag. Replace it with a $20 Mora and spend the leftover $30 on water purification tablets or medical supplies. Things that actually save lives when the grid goes down. Remember, in the apocalypse, nobody cares how cool you look. They only care if you have clean water and can start a fire in the rain. Your gear needs to reflect that harsh reality. That's the first piece of lethal junk you need to ditch. But if you think that's bad, wait until you see the next item. It's something almost everyone has, and it's actively poisoning you. You guessed it? Gas masks. Specifically those creepy, olive-drab Soviet surplus masks you bought for $10 on eBay. You think you're ready for Chernobyl, but you're actually dressing for a funeral. Mistake number 2 is the GP5 fantasy. You've seen them in video games. They look haunting and cool. But in terms of survival science, wearing one of these is like putting a plastic bag over your head. Let's start with the rubber. These masks have been sitting in a damp warehouse since 1972. The rubber is degraded. It's porous. Chemical agents will permeate that cracked face seal in seconds. But the rubber isn't the part that kills you. It's the filter. That green metal can screw-on filter? It's a literal time bomb. Most Cold War surplus filters contain expired, dangerous materials. Here is the dark science. Many vintage filters used chrysotile asbestos as a particulate layer. If the filter is damaged or just old, you are inhaling microscopic glass shards directly into your lungs. You are trying to filter out nuclear fallout, but instead you are giving yourself mesothelioma. It's a slow, painful death. You survive the bomb only to die coughing up blood 5 years later. Even if it doesn't have asbestos, the activated charcoal inside acts like a sponge. Once it's full of moisture from humidity, it stops working. A 40-year-old open filter is just a heavy paperweight. Let's talk about carbon dioxide. Old masks have terrible airflow design. You end up rebreathing your own CO2. Panic sets in, your heart rate spikes, and you pass out. The mask suffocates you. Vision is another critical failure point. Those glass eyepieces fog up immediately because the anti-fog chemicals expired when your parents were in diapers. You will be blind in a combat zone. Have you ever tried to aim a rifle while wearing a vintage gas mask? You can't. The filter gets in the way of the stock. You can't get a cheek weld. You are now blind and unarmed. And for the bearded tactical bros, listen closely. A gas mask will not seal over a beard. If you have facial hair, that mask is just a fancy face accessory. Air takes the path of least resistance. In a real CBRN environment, you need to be clean-shaven. If you aren't willing to shave your survival beard, don't bother carrying the weight of a mask. Use a wet rag. It's about as effective. So what should you buy? Stop LAR pain as a Soviet soldier. Go to the hardware store and buy a 3 meters half-face respirator with P100 filters. It's what painters and construction workers use. It doesn't look cool. It looks like you are going to sand drywall. But it seals perfectly, the filters are fresh, and it costs less than the shipping on that vintage death trap. P100 filters block 99.97% of particulates. That includes fallout dust, mold spores, and bacteria. Unless you are hit with weaponized nerve gas, the P100 is all you actually need. If you have money to burn and genuinely fear chemical weapons, buy a modern mask from a reputable company like Myra Safety or Avon. Date of manufacture matters more than aesthetics. But be warned, modern filters have a shelf life too. Usually 5 to 10 years. If you buy a new mask with a filter that expired in 2015, you are back to square one. Check the dates. Also, learn how to don and doff correctly. If you take the mask off while your hands are covered in fallout dust, and you touch your face, the mask did nothing. Contamination protocols are key. Survival isn't about buying things, it's about skills. A mask is useless without the discipline to keep it sealed, the knowledge to change filters, and the will to shave your face. The cool factor is a dangerous metric. The more tactical something looks on Instagram, the less likely it is to be practical. Professional gear is usually boring, gray, and uncomfortable. So take that GP5, fill it with potting soil, and grow a cactus in it. That is the only safe use for it. Do not rely on it to filter the air you breathe during the apocalypse. Your lungs are your most vital filter. Once they are compromised, you are a walking corpse. Don't gamble them on a $5 piece of Soviet rubber because you liked the aesthetic. Post-apocalyptic science tells us that the air quality will likely suck due to fires and decomposition. You need breathing protection, just not the kind you see in movies. Ditch the relic. Buy a respirator. Save your lungs for screaming at the zombies. Now that we can breathe, let's talk about freezing to death. Because mistake number 3 is a shiny lie. You have one in your pocket right now. It looks like a candy wrapper, weighs nothing, and is sold as a miracle lifesaver. Spoilers, it's basically just expensive trash. Mistake number 3 is the shiny, crinkly lie sitting in everyone's glove box. The Mylar emergency blanket. It's sold as space-age technology that will keep you alive in a blizzard. It won't. Marketing tells you that NASA uses this stuff, true, but NASA uses it to shield spacecraft from solar radiation, not to keep astronauts warm while sleeping in a snowy ditch. Context matters. Let's talk durability. It is literally plastic wrap coated in aluminum vapor. If there is a twig within a 5-mile radius, it will snag this blanket, tear it, and render it totally useless. Have you ever tried to wrap yourself in one of these during a light breeze? It's impossible. In a survival situation with actual wind, it becomes a loud, shiny kite before it shreds into confetti. Here is the physics. Mylar only reflects radiant heat. It does absolutely nothing to stop conductive heat loss. If you lie on the cold ground wrapped in this, the ground sucks the heat right out of you. Think of it like wrapping a cold potato in aluminum foil and putting it on a block of ice. Does the potato get warm? No, it stays cold. That potato is you in the apocalypse. If you are already hypothermic, you aren't generating enough body heat to reflect anyway. You need external heat or insulation. Mylar provides zero insulation because it has zero loft. Let's discuss stealth. This thing is louder than a bag of sun chips in a library. Every time you move, it crinkles at a decibel level that screams, "Here I am. Come loot me." Dark humor reality. You won't freeze to death quietly. You will sound like a giant panic Jiffy Pop popcorn foil, attracting every zombie or raider within earshot. If you manage to wrap yourself up tight, you face a new problem: condensation. It's not breathable. You sweat, the sweat gets trapped, and then the sweat freezes against your skin. Congratulations, you have just created a human popsicle. You were trying to stay warm, but you accelerated your own hypothermia by getting wet in freezing conditions. Science is cruel. So what is this garbage actually good for? It's great for treating immediate shock while waiting for an ambulance that isn't coming. It's also a decent signaling reflector. That's it. In a real survival scenario, use it as a tarp to block wind, or put it under you to reflect ground cold away. Never wrap yourself in it like a Thanksgiving leftover unless you want to die. The real alternative? Wool. It's heavy, it smells like a wet sheep, and it's itchy. But it retains 80% of its insulating properties, even when soaking wet. Wool wants you to live. If wool is too heavy, buy a real emergency bivvy. Something made of actual tarp material with a reflective interior. It costs $20 instead of $2, but it won't tear when you breathe on it. The danger of the space blanket is the false sense of security. It weighs nothing, so people toss it in a bag and think, "I'm covered for shelter." No, you are absolutely not covered. Relying on a faulty backup is worse than having no backup, because it stops you from seeking a real solution until it's too late. You'd be better off stuffing dry leaves into your jacket. Survival insulation is about trapping dead airspace called loft. Mylar has negative loft. A contractor trash bag filled with crumpled newspaper is significantly warmer than this shiny garbage. So keep the space blanket in your car kit for a fender bender in the suburbs. But for the end of the world, get it out of your bug-out bag before it gets you killed. We are 3 mistakes deep, and your gear is looking pretty pathetic. But mistake number 4 is the one that really makes my blood boil. It's a tiny straw that promises the impossible. You've seen the ads. A guy kneeling by a puddle of brown sludge, drinking through a magical plastic tube, smiling like he's at a smoothie bar. It's the survival straw. People buy these by the dozen, thinking they can just slurp up ditch water during a cholera outbreak and be fine. The science says you are about to have a very bad time in the bathroom. These straws have massive limitations that the marketing conveniently ignores. They are designed for hiking in North America, not surviving a complete collapse of sanitation infrastructure. They filter bacteria and protozoa. Great, but do they filter viruses? Most do not. Do they filter heavy metals or chemical runoff from that burning factory upriver? Absolutely not. If you rely solely on a straw to drink from post-apocalyptic urban runoff, you are drinking a chemical cocktail that will shut down your kidneys. Let's debunk the filtration myth. You think that little straw protects you from anything? Mistake number 4, the magic filter straw delusion. It's a marketing triumph and a post-apocalyptic death sentence. Let's dive into the science of what these straws actually filter. Most of them are hollow fiber membranes. They physically block particles. Think of it like a very fine sieve. They are excellent at removing bacteria like E. coli and protozoa like Giardia or Cryptosporidium. This is great for clear stream water in a pristine wilderness environment. But when the grid collapses, your water sources aren't pristine. They're contaminated with sewage, agricultural runoff, industrial chemicals, and possibly radiation. Your straw does nothing for this. Viruses are significantly smaller than bacteria. Most portable straws and filters simply cannot physically block them. You're drinking polio and hepatitis, just without the floaties. Dark humor. Oh, it's just Giardia? Good. At least it's not the heavy metals making my hair fall out. You'll trade one awful death for another, equally awful, slower death. Chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, lead from corroded pipes, gasoline from abandoned cars, radiation from a nearby meltdown. None of these are filtered by your little plastic tube. These filters are also prone to clogging. Silt, dirt, and organic matter will quickly block those tiny fibers. You'll be sucking harder than a vacuum cleaner and getting no water. And what happens when it freezes? The water expands, bursts the hollow fibers, and then it's useless. Once it thaws, you might as well drink straight from the puddle. Most people don't backflush their filters. They just suck and store. That means bacteria and biofilms build up inside. You are creating a biological time bomb in your bug-out bag. So what's the actual post-apocalyptic science-backed way to purify water? Layers of defense. No single method is enough for truly questionable water. First, pre-filter with a cloth. Get the big stuff out. Mud, leaves, dead squirrels. Less crud means your real filters last longer. This is primitive, but crucial. Next, chemical treatment. Bleach, iodine, or purification tablets. These kill viruses and bacteria. The taste sucks, but you won't die immediately. Then, boil it. For 3 minutes at a rolling boil. This kills everything: bacteria, viruses, protozoa. The ultimate kill-all, assuming you can make a fire. After boiling, then you can use a proper filter like a Sawyer squeeze. These are robust, backflushable, and rated for high volumes, but they still don't get chemicals. To deal with chemicals, you need activated carbon. A separate filter or a DIY setup. This absorbs some heavy metals and many organic chemicals, improving taste too. The Life Straw, or similar personal straws, is for emergency hydration in clear, natural water. Not your only defense against the city's worth of toxic sludge. So ditch the illusion of the magic straw. Carry proper purification tablets and a reliable, high-volume filter that can handle turbid water. And a way to boil water. The survival straw is like a single-ply toilet paper roll in an apocalypse. It does a tiny job badly, and then it's done. You need a full system for sanitation. Dehydration kills faster than starvation. Waterborne illness leaves you weak and vulnerable. Don't compromise on water purification because of a misleading advertisement. Your body is 60% water. If that water supply is tainted, every single system in your body starts to fail. Kidney failure, brain fog, cramping. It's a quick, miserable end. Learn to test your water if you can. Get some cheap pH strips or a TDS meter. It's not perfect, but it's better than guessing if that glowing green puddle is safe. Remember, in the post-apocalypse, clean water is gold. Don't trade your life for the convenience of a tiny plastic tube. It's not a magic wand. So trash the straw. Get real about water. And speaking of things that are cheap, convenient, and utterly useless when the world ends, let's talk about food. Specifically, that giant tub of emergency food you bought that promises 25 years of shelf life and tastes like powdered regret. It's mistake number 5, and it's a gutbuster. Welcome to the final fatal mistake. Mistake number 5 is the great emergency food lie. That gigantic plastic tub, promising 2 decades of survival rations that taste like packing peanuts and regret. You paid hundreds of dollars for a pallet of freeze-dried sludge, thinking you've secured your family's nutritional future. You haven't. You've bought enough sodium and starch to give yourself a heart attack. Let's talk about the 25-year shelf life. Yes, the food might be technically safe to eat in 2045, but the nutritional value? That starts dropping the moment it leaves the factory. Vitamins, especially vitamin C and B vitamins, are volatile. They degrade over time, even when sealed. By year 5, you're eating pure filler with a vague memory of sustenance. Survival isn't just about calories. It's about efficient calories. These meals often require huge amounts of water and fuel to prepare, which are the 2 most precious commodities you will have. You're carrying 40 pounds of dry powder that demands boiling water. Why? Because the manufacturers want to minimize weight for shipping, not maximize caloric efficiency in a crisis. Dark humor alert. Imagine lugging this 10-gallon drum of chili mac across the wasteland, then realizing you have enough firewood to boil exactly 1 serving. Hope you choose wisely. And the taste? After a week of eating nothing but creamy pasta primavera, made with questionable water, your morale will plummet. Low morale leads to bad decisions. Bad decisions lead to death. The alternative? Real food, rotated often. Canned goods are heavy, but they don't require external resources to prepare. They are ready to eat, rich in fluids, and don't need boiling. Canned meat, canned vegetables, canned fruit. These provide fluid, essential micronutrients and require zero cooking time, saving precious fuel for heat and water purification. If you must use freeze-dried, buy components, not meals. Buy dried rice, dried beans, and high-quality vacuum-sealed fats. That way, you control the salt and the nutritional mix. And don't forget sugar. Glucose is brain fuel. Store hard candy or honey. It's dense, stable, and requires no preparation. It's also a powerful morale boost in a stressful environment. Another science issue. High-sodium diets, like those found in commercial survival meals, demand huge amounts of water to process. You'll become constantly thirsty, wasting your purified water. This loop sodium spike, dehydration, wasted water is a quick way to exhaustion. Post-apocalyptic survival is marathon, not a sprint. Keep your electrolyte balance stable. Food rotation is critical. Buy what you eat what you buy. Use your pantry stores as your primary buffer. Replace them every 6 to 12 months. This is boring, effective prepping. If you have a 25-year-old meal, open it. Try it. See how motivated you are to survive if that's your only option. My guess is you'll choose the quick end. Don't forget the need for fat. Your brain and body need dense energy. Lard, coconut oil, or vacuum-sealed peanut butter are superior to a bucket full of carb powder. And finally, consider seeds. A small investment in high-quality, non-GMO heirloom seeds is a better 25-year investment than any pre-packaged bucket. That's actual long-term sustainability. A bucket of food feeds you once. A packet of seeds, if cared for, feeds you forever. Survival science says sustainability beats single-use convenience every time. So, get those buckets out of your basement. Crack one open, try the chili mac, and then admit you made a mistake. Reallocate that space to water, medical gear, and real food rotation. We've covered the 5 fatal flaws: the Rambo knife, the asbestos mask, the Mylar popsicle wrap, the virus straw, and the powdered regret meal. Your gear should now be much lighter and safer. The common denominator in all these mistakes is prioritizing fantasy over function. Tactical looks, flashy materials, and unrealistic promises are the quickest way to end up as compost. Remember, the post-apocalyptic world is boring, dirty, cold, and quiet. Your gear should be too: simple, durable, reliable, and ugly. Ugly gear keeps you alive. Go through your bag, be ruthless. If a piece of gear makes you feel like an action hero, it's probably a liability. Trade the liability for utility. Thanks for surviving this reality check. Now that your bag is optimized, what piece of useless tactical garbage did you just throw away? Let me know in the comments. And always stay frosty, not frozen.